use a lot of tech. I won't say AI per se, because I come from tech background, so I know what
You
is
can,
AI.
everybody's saying that.
Everybody is the jargon to use.
Welcome to Ofofo Studio. My guest for today is Shreyansh Sanghani. Shreyansh leads SKS Enterprises. SKS has a unique scientific approach when it comes to talent acquisition. Shreyansh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Angad, for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure. All right, let's start by with your journey and how you got uh, to the point where you started SKS. So let's back up a little bit and start with your first job.
So the flashback happens. I started my first job with DirectEye.
Okay.
It was into domain registrar registry,
Okay.
where you purchase domain names, right?
Right.
Ofofo.com, SKS.com, and all of those.
Yeah.
So I was part of the cybersecurity compliance team. I
Got it.
used to manage whatever court orders would come regarding domain and all of that.
Yeah.
So that was my first job. Again, DirectEye is run by Turakya brothers, Bhavin Turakya, Divyang Turakya. Their sister companies are Media.net, Zeta, Flop, and all those.
Yeah.
Post that, I joined a Australian firm which
Mhm.
was into product development, website designing, and all that. But they had a big offshore delivery center in Mumbai. So I joined them as sys administrator. I moved from cybersecurity compliance to sys administration, then gradually moved up the ladder to a cloud/DevOps engineer.
Got it.
Those were the early days when AWS was just launched. There were EC2, VPC instances.
What was that shift like? What was it like to move to cloud from on-prem?
So for me, it was completely new experience. And I'm a GUI person, so I liked Amazon a lot. You click and it reboots.
Yeah.
You don't go to Linux,
Yeah.
the CMD
Right.
prompt, the shell, and then so I really liked it. I really loved it. But then there were a lot of learnings. As I mentioned, VPC instance in the beginning, the IP attached to it goes back in the pool. So I had rebooted one of the servers. And IP is gone. And we're like, why, boss? Why is the website down? That's when we realized that IP cannot come back. So the IP has to change at many places. We had to, and I was working with the Australian company. So I used to work in night shifts.
Okay.
So already, it was down and out. It was raining out. And the server goes off. And you feel, oh my God, what will happen now? Suppose that SKS was born.
Okay.
So I had said this in one of the podcasts in the past
What does SKS stand for?
So SKS stands for it's just an initial that I had. The company was already registered.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Guju, being a Guju Vaniya Buddhi that we call it. So my dad said, hey, you already have a company. Why don't you start working in that itself?
Right.
So we didn't go out. And we didn't know what brand and everything is. It's only after 7 years of the journey I realized, okay, there is a brand positioning, there is color coding, there is labeling and all of that. And now I'm like, people tend to ask me, hey, what does SK stand for? What does your domain name stand for? So domain names are initial of my family. That's how we registered, because that time dhanda karna tha. Just wanted to do business, get into it. And that's when SKS was born. And the Australian company filed for bankruptcy.
Oh.
So the Indian entity was to shut down, and I had to start. I told my family, hey, not good at what I'm doing. So what next? And coming from a Gujo family, dad's a CA. All my uncles are into business and all. So every time I used to get that notation, hey Shreyans, what are you doing as a man? You should be running a company, you should start something, but something has to click, and this was the push that was required. And that time I saw that opportunity cost to start a recruitment business is very less.
Right.
The Naukri license, you need a phone, you need a computer, that's it.
Right.
That's how the journey began. And it's been 7 years plus now.
It's a very saturated place to get into, isn't it?
Yeah, saturated to the max. You go on the rooftop of this office and you say, hey, I want to hire someone. You'll get 1,000 vendors to come to you. And
I know.
So that's where the differentiation comes in. So I began with only technology hiring as one of the differentiator, because I was from tech.
Right.
I understood tech. Then my co-founder, who happens to be my wife as well, she comes from ex-finance background.
Got
So
it.
then we added finance as one of the category. And we have been concentrating on tech, finance, and business roles. These
and leadership roles.
Leadership roles primarily. We don't take anything that are less than mid-senior levels.
Got it.
We primarily, our target is mid to senior level, and CXO, at a CXO level we do CTO, CFO, and CHRO hiring primarily.
Awesome.
That's been our core focus area, because that's what the expertise we bring to the table.
Right.
And we both were not from HR, right? So we didn't know anything of H and anything of R as well. So, and that's when the journey of building, and 7 years down the line, we are here now.
So how do you differentiate yourself from the other players that are there in the market?
So one of the differentiating factors is we go. So I cannot say. I always tell to all my clients that you are expecting talent, I'll get you talent.
Right.
We are good sellers out there. If you're expecting someone who's not there in the world, I bring them to you. It will not happen.
Right.
Everyone is there on LinkedIn.
Right.
But identifying who's at what role and who will fit in your scheme of things, that's what differentiates us. We do a lot of long list, short list. We do a lot of mapping. We talk a lot. We talk with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Role or no role, we keep on having those conversations open. And I would say majority of the time, it's the relationship that has been built over a period of time that acts as a differentiator. You take the top 3 companies. It's not that they have a database that we don't. They have the same database that we might have.
Right.
Or to a new vendor who's just entering the market.
Right.
But it's how the relationship has been built, crafted.
Yeah.
That is one of the differentiator. We talk with a lot of people, and from a scientific perspective, we have created our own list of questions, sorting or shortlisting mechanism, you can say. And we use a lot of tech. I won't say AI per se, because I come from tech background, so I know what is AI.
Everybody saying that.
Everybody is the jargon to use. It might be even there in my deck that I use AI, but yeah, it's majority on the relationship and in the depth of the understanding that we have. So even in our discovery, right? So we have panelists who are ex-CFOs, who are ex-CTOs, who are ex-CHROs, who do one round to understand whether this is a fitment for what the client is looking for. So those are SMEs, right? For me,
right?
Like for you in cybersecurity, you would have your SMEs who have done vulnerability testing, penetration testing, and all those. So then you can recognize which product is what. Correct. So with us, we have those subject matter experts. I'm not a CFO. I was not a CTO, neither a CHRO.
Yeah.
But I have those experts. So
you have
those people on our board of advisors. They take one round. They are even fronting with the client at times to understand from the client what is required.
Right.
Because the JDs are, the best JDs we have ever seen in terms of everyone writes everything.
Yeah. Especially with ChatGPT coming in, everybody's got like a similar sounding resume these days.
Resume and JDs as well. We have seen 2 JDs come from 2 different clients for a leadership position, and they are identical.
Yeah.
It's just about the company just changes. The rest is all the same. I'm saying, boss, ChatGPT will give what ChatGPT knows, but you know what exactly you require. Absolutely. Out of these 10, you might only require 5 things.
So what are those? What are some typical questions that you ask companies who approach you when they are looking for a position to fill?
So one thing we ask them is, what is the mandatory requirement? What is a turn off for you if these 4 things or 5 things are not there in the profile?
Basically deal breakers.
Deal breakers for them. Then we ask them, what is an optional thing?
Got it.
And then we ask them, from an education background, how much are they willing to negotiate on the education? Because many a times they want from IITs, IIMs, the Ivy Leagues. Yeah. So we try to identify the key components that generally make, and then comes the culture. So culture also, it's all well said, culture chahiye, but you have to sit with them to understand what kind of culture they actually have.
Right.
Else it's very difficult, right? On a podcast, we both might sound the best speaking people, but we don't know what our cultures are in the background.
Exactly.
So when you have 2-3 interactions, that's when things start to come out. We tend to ask them that, hey, is that there's been a replacement role? If that was the case, why did that person leave? At a senior level, if an exit is happening, you need to know.
Yeah.
And the market is, very niche.
Right.
So people tend to know. If something is... People talk.
Yeah.
It's grapevine. It's open secret. I will tell you in your ears, and I'll say, hey, don't say it to anyone.
Right.
You will say the same thing to others. So we also get that feedback from the community. And that's where we are also building the community that I was talking about.
That's very interesting, actually. So even like before we get to the community, I want to touch a bit on the advisory board that you have. how do you go about finding SMEs and advisors who can help you for, like, at sometimes very fringe cases? So how do you go about identifying them and collecting them?
So see, mm, again, I would reiterate to that same point. I was not a CTO, so I didn't have a network. I built the network.
Yeah.
With my co-founder, it was a CFO network that we built, and we understood with whom we can work best. See, at times you might be the best person for the role, but if I can't work best with you, it's it's a marriage bound to fail.
Right.
So even at an advisory level, we look at things where it will work with us. So, and that's how we have been building, identifying. We have, it might be an ex-candidate in the past who's now an advisor with us.
Oh, okay.
So that has been the case with us. That person was a candidate for one of the companies that we were hiring for, and now that person has come as an advisor to us.
Okay.
Though we didn't place him or we placed him, that's a different story altogether. But when the conversations were happening, we understood that, hey, this person understands the ethos.
Right.
This person will work well with the team, with us as well, because that is the most important part. You might get, there are many SMEs out there, right? Subject matter expert. But who works best with your team that is there with you?
Makes sense. Also, like, when again, let's bring it back to the community building. So how did it start? How did you realize that there was a need to build a community to like, bounce off your thoughts in, or probably, get more ideas from? And how did it start? How did it come to be? And what are you doing right now about it?
So we are building a community called Talentscape.
Okay.
By the time this episode might go live, our first podcast would also be live.
Okay.
So Talentscape, the idea is to bring thought leaders to a boardroom conversation and help them understand some problems that need solutions.
Okay.
What happens right now is there are many communities out there, but what happens, you don't get solutions from those communities.
Right.
The community is more to understand, hey, this is Angad, this is Shreyans. That's it. You might meet other three people, I mean, but do I get a solution to the problem that I'm facing?
Exactly.
And do people get some solutions from the problems you have already solved?
Yeah.
So let's say the community goes with the jargon, are you facing a problem, you need a solution, or you have a solution to an existing problem that my community is already facing?
Yes.
Then you need to join us.
Yeah.
Networking is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
You will know Angad, Angad will know Shreyans. That's a byproduct.
Yeah.
But the idea behind building this community was, we saw communities, but they were good for networking. They're doing their bit for the network community, but we wanted to solve problems. So we wanted to bring people to the podcasting or to a closed boardroom conversation and help them engage in a manner where they are giving solutions to certain problems they are already facing, or they have solved some problems in the past. So that becomes a learning for the other person. Okay, you solved a problem like this, I'm already facing something like this.
Right.
Then this is some of the solutions that I can implement out there. And that was the major idea behind building the community out there.
How big is the community right now?
So we are building it. Numbers, it's very difficult to say, but it's fairly, it's more than 20 people in the community. We are growing it, curating it, because we want to bring in people who can bring solutions to the table.
Right.
Just for the sake of adding, we don't want to.
Absolutely. You've got to be very selective.
Very selective. And these are CXOs out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they are very conscious of the time that they want to invest in any community.
Yes.
Else, WhatsApp has 100 groups, everyone has. We don't want to be just the 101 out there.
Yes.
We want to be that value add. Whenever someone is asking something, people are responding to that. Right. So it's more than 20 people right now, less than 50, 20 to 50 is the number I can say. And we are building it with CHROs, then we'll grow to CFOs, then we'll grow to CTOs.
Got it.
That's the gradually incremental fashion that we are looking at. We don't want to have CTOs come in and CHROs. It's not a marriage made in heaven. What will they give an answer? Let's say someone asks, hey, I'm facing this problem on AWS. A CHRO cannot answer that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So how do you take those? Where do you source these problems from, and how do you take them to the people in the community for them to answer? So, for example, you said it's about like taking people to boardroom conversations.
Correct.
Right? Now, the problems that they have, how are you taking them to those boardroom conversations for them to be discussed over there?
So I'll tell you the first podcast that we are doing. Right?
Yes,
the
please.
first boardroom conversation. Let's pick that. Those are all global capability centers, offshore delivery centers of the parent company that are in Europe or US.
Yeah.
Now we have picked up the target audience from that same segment. So it's not a family owned company which has scaled and we
Yeah.
have bought the CHRO from there. It doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
His or her problems will be very different from what a global capability center is.
Yes.
So we are targeting our community building in an orderly fashion. So the first problem statement is, what are the problems global capability centers face in India
Right.
when they are growing?
Hmm.
You might be a 10-member team now, but you want to make it to 100. What are the various aspects you will be looking at? So because we have identified a domain and industry, so we are breaking the problems from there.
Nice.
So we are not going haywire, hey, let's talk this, let's talk that.
It's a more focused approach.
It's more focused approach. And everyone is from the same domain.
Yeah.
So everyone is facing somewhat similar. And when we speak with those thought leaders, those advisors, mentors, whatever we call them, we asked them the problems and they resonated with the problems that we are going to discuss on.
Right.
They said, hey, yeah, I faced this 1 year down the line.
Yeah.
1 year before. I solved it this way.
Yeah.
But I would really want to understand how others have.
Right.
So everyone had something or the other to add in, and that's how the discussions are going to be. It's going to be very focused, very to the point, and trying to give the knowledge that is out there.
Makes sense. I think that's the best way out there. We're trying to do something similar ourselves, but it's great to know that it's you find validation in other people doing the same thing. Yeah. And so what are some of the other topics that you tend to that you are thinking of focusing on after the first episode?
So we are doing somewhat kind of a yatra. We are starting with Hyderabad, then we'll go to Chennai, then we might go to Mumbai, then Pune, then Bangalore. So the yatra's direction is not yet fixed, but we are picking one city at a time and trying to focus on the problems that city, domain, industry is facing.
Right.
Try to solve that, move to the other, and then start building the community from there up. So the people are there from various cities. We have people from Bangalore, from Mumbai, from Chennai, from Hyderabad. We have picked Hyderabad to start with. And people in Hyderabad are saying, hey, we have very less community-led events in Hyderabad. It's Bangalore that's the hub of networking. So, we are more than happy to be part of this conversation. And that's how we are picking the problem statements as well. So today the problem statement might not be diversity and inclusion in the first, but it would be in the second one. Because everyone has a different scale. So the problem statement for the teams or the people that I'm going to talk to is anywhere between 500 to 2,000. In Chennai, it might be more than 2,000, 5,000. Let's say I might have someone from X company, which is NASDAQ listed. There is a Y company that's also NASDAQ listed. So every company has a different problem that they need solution on. So again, it's domain and industry wise that we're decoding the problem.
Got it. So these discussions, are they going to be closed door or are they going to have a live audience over there?
No. So
can someone come and attend, like just observe from while it's being recorded?
So not to dilute the starting events, we have kept it closed door only.
Makes sense.
We want it to be closed door and for people to be more open, because for them also it's the first time to be speaking in front of camera, speaking in front of some other person from a different company. So it's again coming to the statement that Bangalore has a lot of these. They're a lot in camera, so it's okay for them to speak and have a mixer kind of an event. We are not doing any of that. We might start doing certain events wherein we bring founders of certain domain industries, a seed or a Series A founder, and we have these people from CHROs giving their knowledge on where to scale up, how to scale up. When do you need a CHRO also in the team?
Right.
The founder at a Series A might feel, hey, I need a HR head, but what we have understood is they don't
probably
need
later.
It's probably later. Then it becomes a hit and a miss kind of in terms of hire. So those
what do you need before a CHRO?
So see, when you are scaling up, you need a TA person, a talent acquisition person, because that's where your pain point is. Someone who understands the culture, talent acquisition, and talent engagement. Because you are currently looking at hiring, right? And in startups, it's growth first. Again, profitability is now the word going out. But when you're looking at growth, you're looking to hire people. That time processes and all might not be the first foremost thing that a founder might look at.
Right.
Founder might look at a later stage when the team is a bit mature. There are people that he's looking to, then it might go. So the first person that any seed or a series A or a pre-series A would be looking to hire would be a TA head, TA manager, something on those lines, and an HR ops person who manages onboarding, the culture, employee engagement, and all of that. The head of HR is somewhat a later stage when the founder knows, okay, now after solving these two things, these are the few problems that an HR head can come and solve.
Right.
If there are no problems to solve, what will the HR head do?
Correct.
And HR head are senior folks, right? They cannot be sitting idle. They want to be utilizing their time. They want to give back to the community. They want to utilize their intellectual that they've built.
Makes sense. All right. Well, what else is on SKS's roadmap?
So we are bringing in companies from US, Europe, and Australia, help them set up in India. That's been one of the things that we have been working on. Again, that's a gradual increase. We have been doing talent acquisition. We have been doing HR transformation and all those. But now we want to bring in companies. We help bring one company from Australia. Again, there is an NDA, so I can't disclose. But we help them set up in Mumbai. Help them grow.
So we have a lot of partners who have companies outside of India.
Correct.
They are looking forward to, they want to set up entities over here too. What are some of the basics that they should be taking care of?
So one of the basics is you should be doing a talent intelligence on what you're looking and what's your objective to set up in India. See, if it's only sales, then it can be done from anywhere. You have your key markets. You'll have to understand where your product stands in India from a cybersecurity perspective.
Right.
But let's say if you want to scale up, there is a cost arbitrage. There is talent. They want to set up an R&D over here. Then they have to do a deep dive talent intelligence. That what kind of talent is available where. So cybersecurity being very niche, it's you have to understand which city you would want to pick in. Because picking a city is the most important thing.
That's something most people overlook.
And then formation of the company is also something they tend to take it very lightly because there are a lot many issues, right? India is
not easy.
It's easy to do business if you do it right. Like if you don't have the right partners to advise you on how to register, what to be the setup, then it becomes a bit difficult. Then you're always running in circles. Hey, this is one problem that has come up. This is the second. But those problems had been addressed at the beginning. So that's where we help in. We help them set up, we help them scale, we help them manage. It's more like a build, operate, transfer kind of a model.
Awesome.
And we help them as a service. Everything is as a service. Everything is managed service. They feel they want a hiring ramp up, we help them with that. They want a compliance, we help them with that service. So that's the kind of structure that we are bringing into the table. But again, coming to the question that you asked, talent intelligence is one thing that they should be looking at. And they have to understand one thing, what is their outcome by bringing a team to India or building a team into India. If it is a cost arbitrage, what kind of cost arbitrage are they looking at? Because in India, developers are not that cheap like
anymore.
So previously it used to be the cost arbitrage for a US comparison used to be 1:4. Now it has come to 1:2. So the salaries have gone high. So if you are expecting, it doesn't work like that. And one thing I've realized is even with the cost arbitrage, their expectation is not arbitraged. The expectation is, hey, I'm in US.
I want US quality.
US quality. Even though cost is low. So then what kind of talent pool is available where? So those are the few things I would suggest any company to look at. Even in my conversation, I ask them that bluntly. What is the objective? Why India? I don't want a FOMO client. Okay, hey, everyone is setting up. Let's set up in India. I'm being told it's cheap. Nothing is cheap. Means the quality is there, but everything comes with a price. Everything comes with an expectation.
Right. And if companies want to get in touch with you, Shreyansh, how do they go about doing that?
So they can visit our website. They can fill in the form. The form comes to me only as of now. So I respond to all the queries. So more than happy.
We will leave the email in the description so you can get in touch with Shreyansh directly. He's a pretty open person to talk to, as you can see. Shreyansh, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'll take this opportunity to wrap this up.
Thank you so much for inviting.
Absolutely, man. We'll see you for the next episode, yeah?
Done.